Good evening. With what the Crown believed was no reasonable prospect of conviction, manslaughter charges were dropped today against 3 OPP officers accused in the accidental shooting of 18-month-old Jameson Shapiro in Kawartha Lakes back in 2020.
The move came after prosecutors received new evidence showing that the officers had reason to believe that their lives were in danger as the child's father ignored their demands to drop his gun. This was the scene back in November 2020. A pickup truck smashed into an OPP cruiser after officers tried to stop the vehicle. They were responding to a call about the abduction of a child. Shots were fired and the child died.
OPP constables Nathan Vanderhayden, Kenneth Pengelly, and Grayson Kappas were each charged with manslaughter, aggravated assault, and reckless discharge of a firearm. But in court this morning, all charges were dropped.
Court was told today that not all officers heard the radio communication that the baby was in the car, and there is no way to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
Joseph Markson is a lawyer for one of the officers and says there is relief but no celebration given the tragedy.
Well, relief. It's been 3.5 years, this journey. It's the just and right outcome. We're very grateful that the system works. We always had confidence in it, always had confidence in Officer Pengelly's courage and bravery and his professionalism on this tragic day.
In a statement, Ontario Provincial Police Association says having the charges withdrawn was a vindicating result in a case that has been tragic for all.
Peel police are investigating after a body was found on the shoreline of Lake Ontario. Police were called just before noon by the person who made the discovery. It happened near Ritchie Crescent, just west of Promenade Park in Mississauga. According to police, the body may have been there for a day or two before being found. So far, police have not identified the deceased.
Some scary moments this morning for residents near Christie Pitts after a man was found shot and rushed to hospital with serious injuries.
That led to a dramatic police presence in the area. Tonight, police are still searching for a suspect. CTV's Raheem Ladani has more.
Over the loudspeaker, you can hear police demanding an individual drop their weapon and to come out, as a tactical team surrounded an apartment building atop of a tattoo and barber shop. The scene unfolding around 7 a.m. in a Bloor West neighborhood.
It's a quiet place, and the neighborhood is very friendly, but I didn't know. Oh, it's scary.
Area residents woke up to an armored vehicle taking over Bloor between Shaw and Montrose Streets, while members of the emergency task force had their guns drawn. An hour earlier, there were reports of a shooting. When help arrived, a man was found with gunshot wounds on the street, and he was taken to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries.
For me, is a safe neighborhood.
Kenley works at the taco restaurant directly beside where police efforts were focused.
Today, I feel scared because I see many police.
After conducting a search of the perimeter and bringing in the K-9 unit, officers eventually went inside the building of question. However, no one was brought out and taken into custody. There are a number of surveillance cameras attached to businesses on this stretch of Bloor Street, which are just a few steps from where the shooting occurred earlier this morning, and police will certainly use that as part of their investigation. By 9 a.m., all roads had reopened, but the police presence remained with officers canvassing. A description of the suspect has not been released. Raheem Ladani, CTV News.
2 people have been arrested after an armed home invasion in Oakville last night, according to Halton Regional Police. It happened around midnight near Upper Middle Road and 3rd Line. Police say 2 suspects gained entry into a home while a third waited in a vehicle outside. Investigators say the suspects smashed a glass door to gain entry and demanded money and jewelry. A resident of the home was struck in the head and a black handgun was seen. A short time later, police observed the suspect vehicle heading into Bronte Creek Provincial Park, where it collided with a wooden post. The suspects attempted to flee, but 2 were arrested with the help of K-9 and tactical officers. The third suspect is still on the run. Police say the vehicle was stolen in Toronto.
Charges have now been laid after a weekend dog attack that left a child with what police describe as life-altering injuries.
The dog in question has been seized. Its owner appeared in court this afternoon. CTV's Janice Golding is live tonight with the latest. Janice.
Hi, Andrea. Yes, we're standing by here at 23 Division, where Patrycja Siarek made a brief bail appearance online from a jail cell this afternoon, where she faced charges relating to an incident that left a child with life-altering injuries. Police say at 10:15 Saturday morning, a woman was inside this playground, which is surrounded by no dogs allowed signs, when her unleashed animal charged at a child through an open gate.
Pretty angry about it, to be honest, because that's for kids. And too often I'll see people in there with their dogs.
Somebody would go into the playground where it's the only sacred place that children have, that dogs haven't pooed and peed everywhere. It's such an unfortunate thing that happened.
Investigators say the animal dragged the 9-year-old to the ground. They add the woman, along with the child's father, attempted to get the dog to release the child, and when it did, the woman fled.
This is unfortunate. I mean, a little child, and I can't imagine what it was like for the father.
Pure devastation for the little boy and the family of the little boy, especially the father being there as well.
Police released these images of a woman and a dog fleeing the area of Little Norway Park, where the attack occurred, and Patrycja Siarek was arrested yesterday.
Unless you're in a dog park, the dog should not be off leash, no matter how friendly the dog is.
Siarek faces a count of criminal negligence causing bodily harm, as well as 4 dog-related offenses, including ensure dangerous dog is muzzled at all times when off the owner's property. While Toronto Animal Services would not comment on this case specifically, its director said in a statement, there are approximately 450 dogs in the city under an active dangerous dog order. Of that total, staff estimate that approximately 10% are related to a very severe injury or mauling.
A few people make it bad for all of the responsible dog owners, of course. I had written to the city councillor's assistant about the off-leash problem a couple of weeks ago, and the outcome is definitely nothing that anybody wanted.
The dog was seized by Animal Services. Now, the city says it had identified an increase in dog attacks last year, and just last week, City Council passed a list of recommendations that includes the public posting of a list of dangerous dogs. Siarek is being released on $1,000 bail. Reporting live, Janice Golding. Now back to Andrea and Nathan.
Thanks, Janice. The drive home will be slower for many tonight and for many nights to come.
And this is a live look from the CTV News chopper over the Gardiner this hour, where lane closures have begun. The work's being done to extend the life of the expressway, but it will no doubt test the patience of those who rely on the route. CTV's Sean Leathon has been speaking with drivers today and joins us live with more. Sean.
Well, Nathan and Andrea will be testing the patience of drivers for the next 3 years. You can see the backup behind me. These are the lanes that are actually going into the city. The eastbound Gardiner Expressway has just 1 lane closed today. The westbound lanes has all lanes open, but it's going to get worse from here, and drivers are no doubt going to get more frustrated.
It started. Lane closures along the Gardiner Expressway for the next 3 years, adding to an already congested commute.
It's brutal. The traffic, I've been in this lane for the last 15 minutes trying to get through.
With pre-construction work being done this morning, just 1 eastbound lane was closed for a few meters, but the backup that was created?
It's been a mess, I would say.
And it will get worse. The plan goes as follows. From March 25th to April 14th, 1 lane, either eastbound or westbound, and the eastbound on-ramp near Jameson will be closed. Then from mid-April to mid-2027, the Gardiner Expressway will be reduced to 2 lanes in each direction between Dufferin Street and Strawn Avenue.
I don't love it at the moment, but I guess they have to get it done, so not much we can do about it.
This is both terrible for commuters and critically necessary, and we do need to be able to hold these 2 ideas at the same time.
This is phase 2 of the Gardiner Rehabilitation Plan, focusing on that stretch from Dufferin to Strawn.
The infrastructure is aging. It's a 60-year-old highway, and if we don't maintain it, it will age even worse, and we might have to do emergency construction.
The work will replace 700 meters of elevated bridge surface, rehabilitating the structures underneath, and adding a new traffic management system and streetlights.
So this slow-moving stretch is the reality for drivers for at least the next 3 years, but there is a couple of exceptions.
This Friday, March 29th to Sunday, March 31st, all lanes will be open over Easter weekend. Saturday, April 6th to 11:59 p.m. on Monday, April 8th, all lanes will be open. And in May to July of 2026 for the FIFA World Cup, all lanes will be open. This morning, alternate routes were already filling up, and this may force drivers to consider more options like public transit.
And then also people might find other places to go. They might not come into the city.
Or simply face the prospect of a frustrating drive-in.
So we know the schedule is for the next 3 years, but as you heard in the story, this is only phase 2. There are 6 phases in the program, much more work to be done on the Gardiner. We just don't know how long those other phases or what closures may come when they have to start. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Andrew, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Well, more news in a moment, but first, here's a live look outside tonight from the CTV News Chopper. Lots of sun, a great day to be out there, even if you're stuck behind the wheel for a little longer than you'd like. Jessica Smith is here with a look at the current conditions. Jess.
At least it's a sunny view, I guess, for folks who are sitting in traffic. But you know what? The good thing is, temperature-wise, we stay above seasonal for the rest of the week. So regardless of what the commute looks like, at least the temperatures aren't that terrible. Right now, holding on to high pressure, nice and clear, but that changes as we head into the day tomorrow as another big system comes in, bringing snow to the north and rain to the south. For us here, we're looking at temperatures relatively comfortable. We're at 17 through Windsor, 14 in London, 9 out through Peterborough. Through the island and over towards Pearson right now, pretty decent, between 7 and 8 degrees, but it's still pretty breezy. Tonight, the winds don't dissipate at all, although we do stay relatively mild. Coming up, a full look at the long-range forecast right now. Back over to Andrea.
Thanks, Jess. Still ahead, the latest from the trial of Umar Zameer. Jurors hearing from another one of Constable Jeffrey Northrup's fellow officers about the moments leading up to the fatal incident and what they didn't expect to find in Zameer's vehicle.
The Ford government's gas tax cut will continue until at least the end of the year.
This comes on the eve of a new provincial budget. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has been following the story and joins us live now with the details. Siobhan.
Well, the finance minister says keeping costs down for Ontarians while rebuilding the economy will really be the focus of the budget that he delivers tomorrow. We're hearing from opposition parties today, though, that they want to see an investment in some key services as well.
The end of the road has been moved for what was supposed to be a temporary break at the pumps.
We're going to extend the gas tax cut through to December 31st, 2024.
That cut off more than 5 cents a litre for both gasoline and diesel. It was due to expire at the end of June after several renewals.
It's never been more important to keep costs down, especially now, as people struggle with the Bank of Canada's interest rate hikes and the rising cost of the federal carbon tax.
A tax scheduled to jump on April 1st, adding about 3 cents to a litre of gas, among other things. The Premier wants the feds to pump the brakes.
I urge you to immediately scrap next week's tax hike.
The federal environment minister counters most Canadians get back more in rebates than they pay into the carbon tax.
Oh, these look great.
The finance minister choosing steel-toed work boots to fulfill the tradition of buying a new pair of shoes before delivering a budget.
My provincial credit card has a couple $100 billion, this one a little less.
Peter Bethlen-Falvey says his spending plan will fit that building theme while keeping costs down.
It's going to help us stay the course while creating stronger communities, not just for today, but for tomorrow as well.
The opposition wants a budget that puts people first.
Meaningful investment in public health care, in public education, in real bold housing solutions that are going to deliver truly affordable, supportive, attainable housing.
With more measures to improve affordability.
Removing the provincial portion of tax on home heating. That can be removing the provincial portion of tax on OSAP loans.
The Greens figure if the government really wanted to make driving more affordable,
they would make electric vehicles more affordable for drivers. It costs 1/10 to fill up an electric vehicle versus a gas engine.
Especially as Ontario invests in the EV supply chain.
Well, the budget will also reportedly include some changes to auto insurance, though the finance minister would neither confirm or deny those reports. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. A new report suggests more than a quarter of Ontario schools are experiencing teacher shortages, and nearly half of Ontario schools are having trouble filling education assistant positions. 24% of elementary schools and 35% of high schools report daily teacher shortages, according to the group People for Education. 42% of elementary schools and 46% of high schools say they can't find replacements for absent education assistants. The information comes from an annual survey sent to all publicly funded schools in the province. The executive director of that organization calls staffing shortages an urgent issue and suggests the impacts will go far beyond just the students and teachers of today. In the Middle East, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu canceled a planned visit to Washington. We'll explain why a little later in the show.
He was remembered as a true difference maker, a man who accomplished so much. A funeral was held in Toronto today for former Ontario Attorney General Roy McMurtry. Family, friends, and colleagues gathered at St. James Cathedral in honor of McMurtry, who passed away March 18th at the age of 91. The man his family called a jovial giant excelled in a range of fields, including law, politics, and sports. McMurtry's legacy includes overseeing a number of important reforms in the justice system. He was also instrumental in the creation of the province's legal aid system and played a pivotal role in negotiating the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. McMurtry also helped pave the way for legalizing same-sex marriage.
An officer who witnessed the death of Constable Jeffrey Northrop in 2021 testified about the chaotic scene and about arresting the man now charged with running over and killing Northrop.
As CTV's John Woodward tells us, when officers stopped that man's car, they found something they didn't expect: his pregnant wife and child.
Police officers crashed their unmarked van into Umar Zameer's BMW as it waited at the exit to Toronto City Hall's underground parkade in a bid to stop it from leaving after that BMW ran down Constable Jeffrey Northrop, according to the testimony of one of the plainclothes officers that responded, Constable Charnel Pace. And as Pace rushed to the vehicle, his gun drawn, he found Zameer's pregnant wife screaming, we didn't know you were cops," Pace testified. She also asked me, is he okay? Please tell me he's going to be okay. At that stage, I didn't know the status officially, but having witnessed what I had seen, I assumed the worst.
Okay. He's under arrest right now.
Body camera video shows the woman had taken the child from the car as Pace moved to arrest Zameer, telling him, I said, that's my partner you just ran over. I told him he was under arrest. Pace testified that after the police car hit Zameer's BMW in the exit to the City Hall parkade, another unrelated vehicle bolted, taking the parkade's gate arm with it. Many officers responding were in plain clothes. They had just been tasked from another project to respond to a stabbing in front of City Hall. Zameer has pleaded not guilty to a first-degree murder charge and is expected to testify that he didn't realize these plainclothes officers were police and thought he was being attacked as he visited Nathan Phillips Square on Canada Day with his family. Pace saw some of the incident itself, recalling that Northrop's partner said, "Stop, police," as Zameer's car backed up. The vehicle made a quick right turn. I heard tires squealing. I heard the engine revving, he said, briefly becoming emotional. We were in shock as to what we had just seen. There was a moment of just a split second. What do we do? It all happened very quickly. Events the court will continue to explore. John Woodward, CTV News.
Ottawa has begun assisting Canadians who want to leave Haiti because the airport there is no longer functioning.
We are prioritizing the most vulnerable Canadians, for example, those who have a medical condition or those who have children. 18 of those individuals left today and will continue throughout the week.
Those who want to leave Haiti will be airlifted to neighboring Dominican Republic. The assisted evacuation is only available to people with a valid Canadian passport because of strict eligibility requirements in the Dominican Republic. Canadian permanent residents and family members of Canadians are not eligible for the airlift, but the government says it's working on other ways to help those people leave. There are close to 3,000 Canadians registered as remaining in Haiti. Fewer than 300 have requested assistance to leave.
Israel will not be sending a delegation to Washington this week for what the U.S. had hoped would be talks on possible alternatives to a ground invasion of Rafah.
The visit was canceled today after the U.S. decided not to use its veto power on a Security Council resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. CTV's Adrian Gobriel reports.
The draft resolution has been adopted.
Applause as a draft resolution calling on a ceasefire in Gaza is passed.
Those against, abstention.
With the U.S. choosing to abstain from the vote instead of using its veto powers.
It's a very strong message to Israel.
The Security Council resolution, which is the first of its kind to pass at the UN since the war began, demands a ceasefire in Gaza during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, which only has 2 weeks remaining. It also calls on the release of all hostages taken during Hamas's October 7th attack, though that request isn't tied to the ceasefire demand.
And that is very unlikely to happen because Hamas is using those hostages as their major bargaining chip in the negotiations in Qatar with the Israelis and Egypt and the U.S.
More than 32,000 Palestinians in Gaza have been killed in the fighting, according to the Hamas-led health ministry. Canada's former ambassador to Israel has little faith today's vote will bring a pause to the fighting.
On the ceasefire negotiations, it's two-way street and both sides have to agree. What is really going to govern Israel is whether or not the ceasefire negotiations with Hamas happen. That is what is going to result in a ceasefire, not this resolution.
On Friday, the United States tabled a draft resolution that called for an immediate and sustainable ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas conflict. It was vetoed by China and Russia, who today voted in favor of a new, yet similar proposal.
The fact the United States abstained from today's vote, essentially allowing it to pass, has clearly infuriated Benjamin Netanyahu's government, who as a result today canceled an Israeli delegation's planned trip to the White House. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
3 more suspects have been arrested in Friday's deadly attack at a Moscow area concert hall. 2 brothers and their father were charged with being complicit in the attack. The 3 men are from Tajikistan and will remain in pretrial custody until May 22nd. Russian authorities have said 11 people were arrested in connection with the attack that killed 137 people and injured 182 others. ISIS claimed responsibility.
The Kremlin appears to be escalating its aerial bombing campaign against Ukrainian cities. Missiles were launched against Kyiv for the 3rd time in 5 days in a daylight attack. At least 10 people were injured across the capital. Debris damaged part of a 3-story building, as well as homes in 2 districts and a gym. The Ukrainian Air Force said it shot down 2 of the missiles fired from the occupied Crimean Peninsula more than 500 kilometers away.
The Prime Minister of Greece is in Toronto tonight. Kyriakos Mitsotakis enjoyed a dance performance a short time ago with his host, Prime Minister Trudeau. The visit is intended to deepen the friendship between Canada and Greece. Trudeau's office says it also offers an opportunity to advance shared interests such as trade, investment, climate action, and creating jobs. The 2 leaders walked in Montreal's Greek Independence Day parade yesterday.
In New York, an appeals court agreed today to hold off collection of Donald Trump's $454 million civil fraud judgment if he puts up $175 million within 10 days.
Greatly respect the decision of the appellate division, and we will abide by that. We'll put up cash or bond very quickly, securities, cash or bond, whatever it is. We'll put it up very quickly, and we'll win the case.
Meanwhile, a judge said today the former U.S. president will stand trial April 15th on charges related to hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. Trump's lawyers were seeking a delay, saying new documents had emerged, including statements the adult film actor made to the FBI.
A woman was rescued from the Los Angeles River after she fell into the water as a spring storm battered Southern California. Several crews responded after receiving a call about a water rescue. The woman was swept by the current while firefighters attempted to save her. After a failed attempt, a rescue team member was able to grab onto the woman, and both were lifted safely to a helicopter. The woman was treated for minor injuries and hypothermia. It's unclear how she ended up in the river.
A spacecraft carrying 3 astronauts successfully docked with the International Space Station today. The new arrivals are an American, a Russian, and a Belarusian. Their Soyuz craft was launched on Saturday, 2 days later than planned. The original launch was aborted seconds before liftoff on Thursday because of a problem with a chemical power source.
Millions of Indians are celebrating the Hindu Holi festival today. It's a time for dancing, exchanging food and drink, and smearing each other with multicolored powder. Holi marks the arrival of the spring season in India, Nepal, and other South Asian countries, as well as the diaspora. It celebrates the divine love between the Hindu god Krishna and his consort Radha, and signifies a time of rebirth and rejuvenation, embracing the positive and letting go of negative energy.
Still to come, the new levy being considered by the City of Toronto, that some are calling A rain tax. CTV's Natalie Johnson will explain what it's meant to do and why some homeowners feel like they're getting soaked by the city. Pat.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, when you rent a car, you need car rental insurance. It's something you may have with your own policy or credit card. But a Florida car rental company says it's no longer accepting Canadian insurance. I'll have my reports just ahead.
After a very sunny and seasonal start to the week, there is rain on the way tomorrow, in addition to some pretty gusty winds. So thinking about getting yourself and the kids ready for school tomorrow, you're going to need maybe the rain gear as you head throughout the afternoon. This is not an all-day kind of washout affair, but a good idea to be prepared. Your full forecast coming up, and stay with us. We've got another night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
When you rent a vehicle, you'll often be asked to purchase car insurance, but it can be expensive and you may not need it.
You could have coverage through your own insurance policy or a credit card, but with one company that may not be good enough. Pat Foran explains on Consumer Alert. Pat.
Nathan and Andrea, a woman was in Florida recently and rented a car. She had car rental insurance coverage on her policy, but the company said they had to buy their insurance because it no longer accepts insurance from Canada.
I had to. My back was up against the wall.
Cynthia Polano of Woodbridge was in Florida in January and rented a car and paid for it through Expedia. The cost for the week was $372. But when she arrived to pick up the car, the company said she must also pay for car rental insurance, even though she has rental coverage through her own policy.
He claimed that they were no longer accepting Canadian car insurance anymore. And that was the reason why I had to pay.
Polano says the insurance coverage costs more than the rental at $562, bringing the total cost to rent the car to over $900. When she told the company Priceless Car Rental she didn't need the coverage, she was told if she didn't get it, she couldn't rent the car.
I had no choice but to pay it, or else I wouldn't get my vehicle, and then where was I supposed to go at that point in time?
CTV News reached out to Priceless Car Rental, and a spokesperson said this particular location, Priceless of Fort Lauderdale, does make it a point they do not accept Canadian insurance. I am told this is due to claims being denied in the past.
From a Canadian perspective, the policy covers you into the United States.
The Insurance Bureau of Canada says if you have car rental coverage on your policy, it should be accepted by car rental companies in the U.S.
I guess a business has, the option to choose to accept your coverage or not. And my advice would be find another rental company.
Polano feels she deserves a refund. If you're renting a car, check in advance what the policy is when it comes to insurance coverage and check the fine print. It does say on the Priceless website, Fort Lauderdale, we do not accept Canadian insurance. And even if you have car rental insurance, it could have limitations. You might not be able to rent luxury cars or use it outside of North America. It's best to have a copy of your policy so you know exactly what you're covered for. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
It's been dubbed a rain tax, but some Toronto homeowners say it's just another chance for them to be soaked.
The proposed storm water surcharge could vary based on a property's size and surfaces. The city says it's a way to deal with the impact of changing weather. CTV's Natalie Johnson has more.
Ken Christie has lived in his North York home for nearly 82 years and pays more in taxes now than the price tag on the whole house when his parents first bought it.
That's all they do is raise your taxes.
And he's not pleased at the prospect of having to pay a stormwater surcharge for his property, what critics are calling a rain tax.
That's ridiculous. It's just another tax grab.
But as the snow melts and the rain runs off, the city is mulling the idea of charging residents a separate stormwater fee, likely based on the specific characteristics of their property.
Don't you think the 9.5 tax surcharge that we just received is enough? That should be able to cover this?
It's just another fee that residents will have to pay.
Right now, residents are charged a pay-as-you-go water rate based on the volume they use, which includes stormwater management costs. The new proposal would see stormwater fees removed from the water rate and a separate tax added to utility bills as a fixed charge to directly fund stormwater infrastructure.
The motivation behind it was one of transparency
as we move, unfortunately, towards a time where storms and the impact of weather have great impact on our infrastructure.
The fee could be based on a property's size and surfaces. For example, a yard full of asphalt, concrete landscaping, and paved parking that would cause more runoff would pay more.
There's conversation on how we could incentivize more way of building that use more natural service instead of paving everything.
The city now holding consultations asking residents to weigh in on runoff and revenue.
Taxes are making life more difficult for people.
They could very well be overextending themselves given the current climate. I get where the city's coming from, though.
There's way more extreme weather patterns. There's more storms. There's more flooding. That's the crux of the issue, is environmental damage.
City staff will report back on this stormy subject after April, paving the way for a different kind of runoff vote at council on a so-called rain tax. Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
Well, speaking of rain tax, there could be some rain coming in tomorrow. Hopefully not too much.
Yeah, we're not looking at a downpour by any means. If you want to walk the dog, I know you always talk about walking the dog, go out early in the day unless your dog likes the rain. Mine does not, so we will be doing short trips outside later on in the day.
You know what I just did today, finally? I washed my car. I've gone for the last 3 days. And the lineups have been so long that I can't just turn around and go. But today,
sunshine came back out. All the cars got so dirty after the snow, but different now. I let nature wash my car. And that'll be tomorrow. Weather is brought to you by Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train. Now, it was beautiful early on today. We saw lots of sunshine. The winds start to pick up late afternoon. They're still a little breezy right now, but a ridge in the jet stream allowing some warmer air from the south to kind of overtake a good portion of the province has got temperatures way up. We're looking at 17 through Windsor right now, 8 here in the city, 10 in Trenton, even up towards Timmins. They're still sitting at a cool +1. So it's not too bad. You know, we've warmed up considerably from the weekend, even just from yesterday. Winds are still a little gusty out of the east. We're looking at wind gusts kind of in that 30-kilometer-an-hour range. It's not outrageous, but that breeze has been consistent all day. Tonight we'll sit at about 3 degrees. The norm is -2, so we're not wildly above seasonal, but it's comfortable to spend some time outdoors. London will be sitting at 5, the same through Goderich, even out towards Bancroft. Everybody holding on well above that seasonal mark. Getting into the day tomorrow, pretty on par for where we should be, especially kind of in areas around the GTA, Waterloo included, up towards Owen Sound, but really we're in the double-digit mark for the most part through Goderich, through London, out towards Peterborough, Orillia included. Now, high pressure has kept us clear from the weekend through to today, but this system, another Colorado low, the bulk of it sitting in northern Ontario, bringing some pretty significant snow for them. For us, we get the second half, the bottom half of this system, and it falls as rain, and we're just, you know, a little bit warmer, so we're not getting that cooler air, turning it into snow. As we head in towards the day tomorrow, again, we're dry for the morning commute for most. It's as we get in towards the evening or the afternoon and evening where things change. So in the morning for Windsor through London, heavy rain, even the risk of some thunderstorm activity. It trickles in late morning, but truly this is kind of like a lunchtime special for us. And then as we head in towards the evening, pretty widespread from Parry Sound all the way down towards Niagara with some showers included. We do get a break though heading into about 8:30, lingering pop-up showers, and then getting into our Wednesday, a lot of this starts to push out. The chance of showers will linger in the morning and then high pressure returns. Temperature-wise, we get even warmer into the day tomorrow, up to 9 degrees through Wednesday, up to 12. The bulk of that shower activity will push out kind of late in the morning. On Wednesday, we don't really see brilliant sunshine, but peaks of sun throughout the afternoon and more so right before the sun sets in the evening. And then high pressure settles in just in time for the Easter weekend, a busy one, I'm sure, for many. And we're hovering around the seasonal mark through your Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Getting in towards Monday, a little cloud cover returns, but overall, it's not so bad. Pretty comfortable as we head in towards the bulk of the week. Nathan.
Thank you, Jess. Still to come, honoring the best in Canadian music. We'll show you the big winners from the Juno Awards.
Toronto now has its 3rd case of measles, and it's raising concerns.
But as our health reporter Pauline Chan tells us, Toronto Public Health says exposure from this case is minimal.
Toronto Public Health confirms a 3rd case of measles so far this year, but has not issued a public alert because they say all known contacts of the patient have been notified directly. It adds, this is a person who was vaccinated before exposure and had a very mild illness. Dr. Eileen DeVilla spoke at today's meeting of the Board of Health.
There's no question that even with a few measles cases, as in any communicable disease investigation,
There are a number of steps involved, and they do keep many parts of our organization quite busy.
In Toronto's first case this year, more than 70 individuals were determined to be directly exposed. In the second case, public alerts were issued due to concern about exposure at 2 public libraries. They are Agincourt Public Library on March 11th in the afternoon, and the Mom and Babies program at 495 Sherbourne Street on the afternoon of March 15th. And with the incubation period for measles stretching into 3 weeks, those who may have been exposed are urged to watch for symptoms until April 5th. Those with weakened immune systems, like babies or pregnant women, might be particularly vulnerable. Symptoms include a runny nose, fever, cough, and eventually a red rash starting on the face and spreading downwards on the body.
There is a whole process involving contact tracing, in some cases follow-up, quarantine, measures to prevent the ongoing transmission of measles as much as is possible.
Davila emphasizes the importance of Toronto's vaccination program, not just for measles, but also for COVID-19 and Mpox, which has also seen a recent surge. Families with school-aged children are urged to make sure their vaccinations are up to date and can go to a public health vaccinations clinic if needed. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Old and new were celebrated last night on the East Coast with a lot of Toronto talent making the way to the stage for the Junos.
The 53rd annual Juno Awards broadcast took place in Halifax.
Anne Murray.
When the Junos returned to Halifax, it's no surprise they called upon one of its most famous daughters, Anne Murray.
Some of you may be too young to know very much about me, but or maybe not.
The first award of the night went to Toronto's The Beaches, winning Group of the Year.
To all the young girls watching, go start bands with your best friends.
Breakthrough Artist of the Year went to Talk.
This is a big honor for me, so I'd like to thank Factor for supporting me.
Going into the Junos, Montreal's Charlotte Cardin had 6 nominations, the most of any performer. She won Album of the Year for 99 Nights.
None of this would make any sense and wouldn't exist without my fans. Album of the Year, baby!
Halifax native and Oscar nominee Elliot Page.
It is my true honor to present the Humanitarian Award to Tegan and Sarah.
Threats like the Alberta government's attempt to prevent trans youth from accessing vital care. These attacks are harmful because they are directed at the kids who need our support the most.
And the award for TikTok Juno Fan Choice goes to
The Canadian Punjabi artist is currently one of the most popular Punjabi singers in the world.
You know, made my way out to Canada, this beautiful country, and today I'm here, man, let's go!
Cardinal Official was given the honor of introducing Maestro Fresh West into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame.
I wrote my first rhyme in 1979, and I never thought that in 1991 I'd receive the very first Juno Award for rap music. Salute to St. John, New Brunswick. And a place called Scarborough, where we don't make records, we make history.
And he returned to the stage to remind everyone of his legacy.
Still ahead, baseball's highest paid player breaks his silence on the scandal surrounding him off the field. We'll hear what Shohei Ohtani says about a gambling controversy that saw his interpreter fired.
It's been 3.5 years, this journey. It's the just and right outcome.
Updating our top stories, charges have been dropped against 3 OPP officers charged in the accidental shooting death of an 18-month-old. The move comes after new information was made available. The officers believe their lives were in danger when the child's father refused to drop his gun.
Pretty angry about it, to be honest, because that's for kids.
A Toronto woman is facing charges after a weekend dog attack that left a child with life-altering injuries. 38-year-old Patrycja Siarek is facing 5 charges, including criminal negligence causing bodily harm.
It's brutal. The traffic, I've been in this lane for the last 15 minutes trying to get through.
And it's day 1 of lane reductions on the Gardiner that will last for 3 years. As expected, drivers were none too happy. The city says the work is necessary to extend the life of the expressway.
Remember to keep up to date day and night through our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca, and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
The CEO of Boeing announced he will leave the company this year. This comes after a door panel flew out midair in January, sending the company into crisis management. BNN Bloomberg's Amber Kanwar has the story.
Boeing announced a major executive shakeup today as the aircraft maker continues to deal with a crisis over the reliability of its planes. CEO Dave Calhoun will step down at the end of the year. He was tapped to become CEO shortly after two deadly crashes in 2018 and 2019. Today's shakeup comes as airline executives were increasingly becoming frustrated with the plane maker's missteps. No successor has been named. Boeing chairman Larry Kellner will also exit the company, as will the head of Boeing's commercial airline division. Now let's take a look at the closing market numbers. The Canadian dollar edged down to just below 74 cents U.S. Oil prices finished higher to just under $82 per barrel, while Canadian oil prices closed just below $67 per barrel. On the TSX, it was a down day, shedding 42 points. That's the latest in business. I'm Amber Kanwar in the BNN Bloomberg Newsroom.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Shohei Ohtani says he never bet on sports or sent money to a bookmaker.
まずはじめに、僕自身は、何かにかけたりとか。
The LA Dodgers superstar commented publicly today for the first time since illegal gambling and theft allegations were made against his interpreter. Ohtani said Ippy Mizuzura stole money from his account and told lies. There were reports last week about Mizura's alleged ties to an illegal bookmaker and debts well over $1 million. The IRS and MLB are investigating.
The Toronto Blue Jays will likely start the season without their closer. Jordan Romano is expected to be on the injured list with an elbow issue. The right-hander made 5 appearances this spring, allowing 1 run and 2 hits and striking out 6 batters. The Jays wrapped up preseason play today. They opened the regular season Thursday in Tampa.
The Raptors will look to snap a 10-game skid when they host Brooklyn tonight.
Abaji, baseline.
Toronto's most recent loss was Saturday's 112-109 defeat to the Washington Wizards. Tonight, they face a Nets team that has lost 6 straight.
And on the ice, Austin Matthews has been named one of the NHL's 3 stars of the week. The Toronto Maple Leaf center was second in the league with 10 points. Half of his production came from a 5-point game in a 7-3 win over Washington. Matthews leads the league with 58 goals. Washington Capitals winger Alex Ovechkin and Edmonton Oilers center Connor McDavid were also named stars of the week.
Tonight, a family's hidden history unraveled by a DNA test.
I feel like there is a void filled in my heart.
The stunning secret and the incredible reunion with long-lost siblings. That story and more later on CTV National News.
A reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight. And a special hello to those of you listening to the newscast live on News Talk 1010.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Welcome back. Well, Indian cuisine might not be what you think of when you think of Edmonton, but one man there is on a quest to find the city's best butter chicken.
I'll tell you what makes a bad butter chicken. Tomato soup and rubbery chicken breast. You need to get the zing in your throat. If you're not experiencing like a minimal pain, right? Not like pain in a bad way, just like a little sting, it's not authentic food.
Food blogger Ramneek Singh figures there are more than 80 places in that city that serve butter chicken. He's going to try and get through 50 of them this year. His goal is to stick with a dish at each location and come up with a ranking, though he admits it's hard to nail down exactly what the perfect butter chicken tastes like. Singh is sharing his journey on his Facebook page to encourage other fans of the dish to try new restaurants instead of reaching for a jar on the shelf.
You're insulting all the preparation that goes in, the marination that goes in, and the passion that goes in. That store-bought stuff, that's not genuine.
Singh hopes to celebrate ranking the city's best butter chicken by traveling to India in December. Okay, so tomato soup?
That's a new one for me.
That is wrong.
Listen, like to get authentic food, you have to go to some of those proper restaurants. And there are so many, especially in the GTA, through the city, through Scarborough in particular. I'm a food connoisseur.
She's a foodie, everybody. You walk by her desk every day and go, what are you having, Jess?
Have my fair share of food. Tomorrow's a great day to stay in and maybe try to make some butter chicken if you want to get creative because the weather's going to be less than ideal. We have rain moving in thanks to a Colorado low, bringing snow to the north, rain to the south. It's a good day to stay inside and maybe enjoy some food. We're clear for now. It's pretty beautiful out there, still quite clear, but we are watching this system rolling in, set to bring some showers. Thunderstorms in towards Windsor. For us here in the GTA, we're watching for more pop-up showers. 17 right now through Windsor, 8 here in the city, 9 through Peterborough, 8 in Ottawa. Above seasonal right through to the end of the week, but the sun will not come out until Thursday, but a great forecast for the Easter weekend.
Thanks, Jess. Be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and all of us here at CTV News, thank you for watching and have a good night.